Are you tired of banging your head against the wall chasing residential deals that barely move the needle? Let's be honest, $200 to $300 a month in cash flow per unit is pretty standard in residential, but you pour time, energy, and capital. In exchange, you make incremental chump change. But what if I told you one bigger commercial deal could add $500,000 to your net worth and $50,000 a year in cash flow in less than 1 year? That's exactly what my client Brian Buxton did. With my help sourcing, underwriting, and funding his first big deal, Brian retired early in one deal in 1 year. But it took me 11 years, 25 properties, and 76 doors to replace my income. Brian did it in a single swing. So what's the difference? Why does commercial real estate completely blow residential out of the water? Stick with me because I'll break down the 4 unstoppable advantages of commercial over residential. So real quick, what is commercial real estate? A lot of people think about commercial real estate as office, retail, and industrial, but it also does include multifamily, which is 5+ residential units qualifies for commercial. And commercial real estate is property treated like a business. Residential is shackled to comps. You are going to be hamstrung by what your neighbor's property sold for down the street. Commercial is valued on income. The more profitable the property, the more valuable it is. That's why I say it's less like buying real estate and more like buying a business. In residential, comps cap your growth. In commercial, income drives value. Raise rents, cut or stabilize expenses, lease space, and you literally force millions in value appreciation. But think of Apple, right? If they sell more iPhones for cheaper, their valuation skyrockets. Same with commercial real estate. This is why the BRRRR method, the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, is almost dead in residential, but it's alive and thriving in commercial because it's based on math, not speculation. So that's how my clients recycle investor capital in 5 years or less and keep scaling. So advantage number 2 is banks compete for you. Residential lending is fixed. You get what you get. But when you're bringing multi-million-dollar loans, banks want you. A bigger loan equals more profit in the form of interest earned for the bank with less work. That means leverage in negotiations, better terms, lower fees, and banks competing for your deal. Advantage number 3 is the flexible financing. Commercial lending is relationship driven. If the deal makes sense, banks will work with you. Seller second mortgages, that's fine. Refinancing with a second behind their first often is fine too. During COVID, I tried to refinance my own house. A $150,000 loan and a rate and term refi. Rates were in the 2% range. I had friends that were kind of bragging about this new interest they had. I had a 4.5% interest rate. So I went to the bank to refinance my property on a residential loan and I got denied, even though I had $15 million in assets at the time and millions in liquidity. The bank still said no because according to my tax returns, I made no money. Meanwhile, commercial banks don't even care where my down payment comes from. They don't check my bank account deposits. They just care about the loan to value and the debt service coverage ratio. Way simpler and way more logical. And advantage number 4 is the minimal buyer competition. Last year at a Real Estate Investors Association, I put on a commercial crash course workshop where there was about 100 investors in the room. I began the presentation by asking, who's buying a 1 to 4 unit property right now? And almost every hand went up. Then I asked, who's buying a 30 unit apartment deal? 3 hands stayed up and 2 of them were my clients. In residential, you're fighting with the masses. In commercial, maybe a handful of competitors in your market. And 80% of deals in commercial never even hit the market. Brokers guard opportunities and only bring them to trusted buyers. In residential, when an agent gets a listing agreement signed, they put that thing in the MLS and it gets blasted out to Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, Realtor.com. In commercial, when a broker gets a listing agreement signed, they shop that deal around to their trusted circle of buyers that they know can perform. All right, so this is a very non-transparent market. And by the time that you actually see the property on LoopNet or Crexi, it's already stale. All of the proven buyers and players in the market have already seen the deal and passed on it. And this was incredibly frustrating for me when I was trying to scale into commercial and I was relying on LoopNet and Crexi to source my deals wrongly. And I would see a property there, I bring it to a mentor of mine and say, hey, listen, Joel, this is a deal I'm looking at. It looks pretty solid. What do you think about it? And he would tell me yeah, I saw about 3 months ago, the broker brought it to me. All right. And it was incredibly frustrating for me because I was like, all right, well, they just listed this thing today. How did you know about it before me? This is the opaqueness of the market where you can build that infrastructure out with commercial brokers and get access to opportunities before they hit the broader market, giving you a competitive advantage in scaling. So as a recap, commercial lets you create value and wealth at scale. Banks compete for your business. Financing is flexible and relationship driven, not a cookie cutter box that they want to force you into. And competition is scarce, and the best deals happen off market. This is why one bigger deal can outpace years of grinding in residential. And here's my guarantee. If you own 5 or more rental properties, I'm going to help you land your first bigger commercial deal that'll add $500,000 to your net worth minimum, $50,000 a year in cash flow minimum in the next 12 months, guaranteed, or you don't pay. Stop chasing deals that pay you chump change and just keep you busy. I help experienced residential investors break into the commercial transaction space. And when you land that first larger deal, you will build your credibility with commercial real estate brokers. You'll build your credibility with investment partners, because I do help investors actually with raising capital for those deals, because capital is always going to be a bottleneck, and allows you to build your empire at scale and achieve your big, hairy financial goals at light speed. So make sure, if this interests you, check the link in the description below and book in a call today. But in the meantime, if you got value out of this, I have hundreds of hours of content pertaining to commercial investment properties on my YouTube channel. So make sure to scroll through that. I have put a ton of value out there, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get first look at these videos as I release them in the future.